welcome to the Dual Horizons podcast. I'm very excited to introduce to you today Dr. Ashley Maltz. She's a beacon of integrative medicine and holistic care with a heart dedicated to healing and hands skilled in the art of wellness. Dr. Maltz will share her insights on living a balanced life that honors both the science of health and the art of well-being. So sit back, relax, and let's welcome Dr. Maltz to the show of Dual Horizons. Hello, Ashley. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for connecting us here today. And I always like to jump right in and kind of give people a little bit an idea on your backstory and your mission and your passion in life and how everything started for you.
Yeah, so it's a long story, but I'm an integrative medicine physician who basically sought out a different way of practicing medicine in my even pre-med training and happened to be introduced to integrative medicine in an academic way during medical school. So found my people. I was a psychology major, and I still can consider myself a psychologist at heart, and really want to and aim to improve the lives of people holistically and using the mind, body, and everything in between.
Okay. Well, that wasn't too long.
I gave you the short version.
So when it comes down to spirituality and holistic healing, so what's your approach of that? How you incorporate that mindset into medicine?
So all of my patients come in and we do a 60 to 75 minute intake, and every single one of them gets asked about what they're doing for their mind, body, and spirit. And we go very highly into detail. And then each patient, obviously, we kind of tailor the recommendations to them and for what they need, but also I send breathwork exercises for them to do. And if, that's necessarily even more. Like the other day, I had a very profound discussion with a man who's very isolated. And so we had a discussion about spirituality and his connection to anything else outside of himself, but also to other people, because within a community, you can find, you're connected. You just feel more connected. And that's definitely something that he is missing in his life. So spirituality kind of ranges the gamut from being out in nature, which I often recommend to my patients, to having a community that you're highly involved with. And we really go down and personalize recommendations to what is necessary or what is actually even feasible for some people.
And then you're incorporating acupuncture as well as part of, besides breath work, for example?
Yeah, so I do have training in medical acupuncture as well. I completed an apprenticeship and certification, you could say, for physicians in my fellowship in integrative medicine after I completed med school and residency. But we also have an acupuncturist full-time in our practice, and she's amazing. She's brand new, actually, since January. And so, yes, we work collaboratively. We often discuss patient care that we share, and everybody gets, basically we're learning that the nervous system is the healer of the body. It could be either the healer or the harm. So if your nervous system is constantly in fight or flight, it's difficult to heal. It makes it a lot more difficult. So we want to get everyone shifted into a more parasympathetic nervous system state. And that can be done through mind body work, such as meditation or breath work. It can also be done with acupuncture, massage, 1,000 different ways to get there. But that's definitely one of the recommendations that I make in most of my...
And when you look from the perspective of, let's say, diseases or issues that people come into you, and you would compare it, you probably still have in your mind the typical kind of aspect of the generalized medicine doctor that just looks at the symptom, prescribes a pill. And so my point is where's that going, or where do you see the medical industry? I mean, are the general practitioners, the general medicine community, a little bit more open to some of these holistic approaches? Where do you think we are at this point at 2024?
Yeah. So sorry, my dog has decided to move in the background on the bed.
That's okay.
She wants to be part of the conversation. So
Sure.
basically, yes, this field is growing and expanding like with lightning speed exponentially since when I started. In medical school, which I started in 2003, and it's been now 20 years. And I have seen a just complete explosion with the onset, of internet and information just coming at us at rapid speed, as well as social media where people can share
Mm,
freely and they don't need to go to a practitioner necessarily to learn about their bodies. So, yes, it's growing. Allopathic docs they're starting to get it a little bit, I'm finding, but they're so often strapped for time, and there's so many pressures on them for just getting through that 5-minute visit, that 10-minute visit, that it's really difficult to bring in like a holistic approach when you're really just trying to get the prescriptions made and like a diagnostics. Um,
right,
yeah, so we get very little nutrition training in medical school, like 8 hours or something over 4 years. It's very minimal.
right.
I don't have the exact numbers, but it's something like that. Yeah, but then there are many of us that are just like kind of figuring it out on our own. So I went to training with a cardiologist who now tries to get patients off of medications. We just are all, we see there's a better way, and we know there's a better way we're doing, and it can be, you learn as you go. You take your own personal
Hmm.
history, like many people have done, myself included, and you roll with that. You learn more and you continue to learn, and that's growing and growing always.
Yeah, I mean, I want to specifically go and ask about the time aspect because, as we know, correct, most doctors take literally probably even less than 5 minutes to speak to a patient to kind of find out what kind of mental state they're in, physical state, and so on. You mentioned that you have, what, 45 minutes, potentially even an hour discussion kind of with them. Maybe that's not on every visit, obviously, but still taking that time. How is that physically then? I mean, physically possible? Obviously, it doesn't allow you to see the same amount of patient. Is the billing structure, and I don't mean to go into the details of that, but just like the understanding of, look, we can provide, you can make a living as a doctor, even though you're providing more detailed, more sensitive care, more holistic care. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit because it's not just like numbers, 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 and hey, let's push as we can per
Yeah.
day. How do you see that?
Well, so there are many new models coming up. One, of course, is, within insurance-based care, and one without. So one is going with, cash-based, which is what my practice is. And
Okay.
I knew early on that that's what I wanted. I wanted freedom to practice how I wanted to practice. I did not want to be told what I could order and do and how many patients I would have to see through an
Right.
insurance-based system. Now that does limit the population of potential candidates to people who have expendable income. So there's that. Then there's like more hybrid systems that are coming out. So they pay a little bit like a concierge fee, or what's it called, a monthly stipend or some sort of something. And then they're also billed through their insurance. There's also just direct primary care, which is just pretty low cost, actually, monthly fee, and they get much greater care,
Hmm.
more personalized care. But it's also, the labs are cheaper, and some of those doctors dispense medications at cost or a very small markup,
Right.
versus, so yes, cost is a huge, huge elephant in the room, and many doctors are switching out of insurance-based models because they're just exhausted and burnt out, and they also want to practice in a new way that allows them to give the best care that they can.
Right.
So,
Obviously, now the challenge falls back onto the patient, which now has to decide what can I afford, what's the proper care, right? The proper care might be to go to a holistic doctor or somebody like yourself, but then obviously if they're relying on insurance to only pay for that visit, then it becomes, so to speak, an issue here or there. So yeah, I mean, definitely a challenge, but I guess we would encourage patients to kind of look out, just coming in for one or two consultations, one or visits, kind of get the base understanding on what's going on, and then
yeah.
maybe in conjunction go back to the primary care physician. Look maybe at it as an investment to your health, right?
Yeah. But I will say the most care that we do is done on an everyday basis. So at home, and it's built into our lives. So, the food we're putting in our mouths, the messages we're getting from things we're watching, or, the stress levels we're engaging in, the exercise or lack thereof. These things are all free. I mean,
Right.
you have to buy food, but and they're just built into our lives. So, yes, the majority of care can be administered at home for, low cost. However, the emphasis in our society is not on optimizing those things. So it's kind of, if you opt out of the typical society where people are out drinking and smoking and doing things, not eating healthy foods, then you're halfway there, really. And you just
Right.
really need to, sometimes you might need just some optimizing or a screening test here and there and, things like that.
So basically, then, in a sense, people can look at your model and your services as something almost like a medicine coach instead of a health coach, as somebody that also has the doctorate, the ability to do prescribe medications that
Hmm.
are maybe needed at one point or the other, and then
Yeah,
guide them at the same time through that holistic approach that they can take home and integrate
yeah,
into their life, which is kind of like as we just spoke about the bigger picture here, right? Not just like, hey, during that 1 hour visit, but it's the every single day after that to kind of integrate what they have learned and through your guidance, right?
right, right. And I will say, once that patient doctor patient relationship is established, it's a very sacred experience. It's not just, there's a trust and a development of relationship that happens. So it can, it can hurt or it can harm, it can help. So, either way, the words that we use are very important, the optimism, the hope, that all of it. So it all goes hand in hand. As a physician, though, we are licensed in certain states and we can only practice in those states and we can only prescribe certain things for, and so there's
Right.
lots of regulation as well. But yes, that is one way to think of it.
Yeah, interesting. Let's talk about technology. Where do you see technology? Obviously, there's so many aspects, and I mean, I'm starting from a really like a top level perspective here. But where do you see some of the interesting things that come to your mind that
Yeah.
could enhance on the holistic in the holistic arena over the next few years? Where do you see what's happening here, you know?
Well, so first of all, our conversation when we first met was more about how the body is the greatest technology on the
Mm-hmm.
ever. So but that aside, we have learned more and more about the microbiome, about genetics over the last 10, 15 years, and really just explosion on how to utilize those technologies. We're also using, I mean, I personally have a continuous glucose monitor on. That's a great technology. I just saw they're going out to over the counter. You won't even need a prescription for that. So people can log their sugars and their actually what you're eating and drinking and whatever,
Very
exercise,
good.
stress, and see where your sugars are. I think it's a lot of direct to consumer technology that is kind of changing the market quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
AI is always, pro con. I'm using it in my practice now to take notes for me and scribe instead of my old assistant who is helping me with other things. So there's a lot of technology. We're learning more and more about how small peptides can change which are proteins, and things like semaglutide, that's a peptide, insulin is a peptide. But there's more and more anti-inflammatory medications coming out more. And unfortunately, though, with higher technology, you have higher costs. So
Mm.
that is a trade-off. So I personally like to optimize the technology of the body, use the breath to move energy and to regulate the nervous system, use other ways of doing things, nutrition. We just started doing IV infusion therapies at my office.
Okay.
And, some might call that, it's not, it's just nutrients that we've given for a long time. It's just now
Right.
becoming more direct to consumer. So yeah, that's top of mind where
Yeah,
I
interesting. And I do want to come back to what we spoke last because I mean, yes, I mean, we can look at our body as this technological marvels, right? I mean, we are basically ultimately only energy, but then again, this energy manifests itself in a physical form, and we have control over it. Might be not the right word, but we're able to influence certain aspects through frequency, through breathing, as you said, through meditation, through all sorts of things. So let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, do you have anything specific that comes to mind when it comes down to using our technological human bodies in a way to heal ourselves?
Well, one of the most exciting concepts that has come out for me, at least in the last 10 years, is epigenetics. And it seems totally normal now to hear about epigenetics, and most people know what it is. But when it first came out, it was like, oh my God, we're not our DNA. We are our DNA, but we can influence our DNA. And I think that's what you're alluding to. Different proteins can get expressed by different behaviors and different, input. So the right nutrients with the right stress managed, calm environment, with the right microbiome, with the right, you name it, air you're breathing, and in loving relationships or community and physical activity can prevent cancer, even in people with genetic predispositions for cancer or diabetes or
Right.
heart disease. So when that came out, that just blew my mind. So that's a huge topic in and of itself. The microbiome, I mean, the amount of information we're learning about that is just every day is new studies
Y-
coming out showing that its influence on the mind, body, everything. Like literally every system in your body is based on the microbiome in that organ or in your gut. And
Right. I mean, there's even
all,
the direct connection, right, from the microbiome to the brain. That's the
yeah,
gut-brain connection.
the gut brain
So,
axis, these terms didn't exist even 5-10 years ago. So
right,
it's just
right,
the explosion of technology has really allowed us to learn more,
right.
grow in these fields.
Interesting. Now, that brings me back, though, even though we have so many tools and so many beautiful things at our fingertips,
Hmm.
that it still comes back to your own decisions to say, do I pick up that burger? Do I eat that extra piece of cake? Do I put that sugar in my body? Do I drink all that alcohol? Ultimately it comes down to that. And I think I encourage people to really pay attention to what we're speaking here today about, because, I mean, it can really change your life. And as you
Yeah,
just said, like, preventing cancer is something that you have control over, but ultimately comes to our decision making. And I always, of course, encourage, connect to the source, connect to the universe, however you want to call it, because that's where we can get strength from. That's
right.
where we can get guidance from to really help us to kind of, with these basic fundamentals, to kind of overcome some of these issues that we're facing.
Now, I will say you can do all the things right and still manifest an illness, and that happens. And, but,
Right.
the odds, the percentage wise of how healthy diet, exercise, sleep, stress, all that, the odds of that happening are much less than if you were to drink and smoke and do drugs and all the things, if you eat fast food
Yeah.
and so.
Yeah.
And also we get to enjoy life. Like life should not be rigid. It's not. It's a flow. It's an ebb and flow. Things go up, they go down. We're human. We're not meant to be robots. So, there's you gotta take a little bit
Well,
of
we want to have fun in life,
we
right? I
want to
mean,
have
it's
fun, but
it's
there's responsibility as well. There's
That's
a
what I
balance.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody's ultimately responsible for their own life. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, tell people how they can reach you. I know you're in Austin, but are there any other locations? Give us a little bit of an idea if somebody wants to visit you.
So our office is downtown in Austin, Texas. Austin seems to be the biohacking center of the world. So
Right.
and spirituality center. So come on down. And it feels like a good fusion. Our office is really nurturing and calm. And I hear that all the time. Like, wow, this doesn't feel like a doctor's office at all. So I love that.
Uh-huh.
The practice is called West Holistic Medicine. I actually have slate things right here in my
Oh,
office,
okay. Beautiful.
surprisingly.
Okay.
But this is our logo. It's a hummingbird, which symbolizes, freedom and good energy and just joy. I find them very joyful, colorful. But we are on West Avenue at West and Ninth, if anyone's familiar with Austin. And you can
And
find
then they
us
can
on,
look you up on your website.
yeah, westholisticmedicine.com or my personal website, Ashley Maltz, MD. Either one will lead you. All roads lead to West Holistic Medicine
All
in that regard.
right.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Ashley, for your beautiful insights and for our communication today. Until the next time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. That was lovely.
Thank you. Bye-bye.